I remember that morning so clearly. The rain hadn't stopped all night, and I was running late, as usual. The train station smelled like coffee and impatience. People moved fast, dragging their lives behind them in suitcases and backpacks. I kept checking the clock, wondering how everything in my life always seemed to come down to seconds. I spilled some coffee on my sleeve, cursed under my breath, and sprinted toward Platform 5. The announcement echoed through the hall. The 805 train to Brighton is now departing. I ran faster, and for a moment, I thought I had missed it. But when I turned the corner, the doors were still open. I jumped in, breathless, soaked, and the train began to move. I found a seat near the window. Seat 14A. Next to me, an old man with a brown hat was quietly folding a newspaper. He looked at me and smiled. Almost didn't make it, huh? He said. I laughed. Yeah, story of my life. He nodded slowly, like he understood more than I said. And then he looked out the window. The world outside blurred into streaks of gray and green. For a while, we didn't speak, but there was something comforting about the silence, the kind that doesn't demand to be filled. After a few minutes, he spoke again. Do you travel often? Not really, I said. I guess I'm always too busy staying in one place. He chuckled. Funny thing about trains. They move, but they also make you still. I didn't understand what he meant at first. But then he continued. I used to take this same train every week, back when my wife was alive. His voice softened. She loved the sea. Brighton was her place. He paused, like the memory was something fragile he didn't want to drop. I stopped going after she passed. Today's the first time in 3 years. The sound of the tracks filled the silence that followed. Clack, clack, clack. I didn't know what to say, so I just nodded. He asked about my life, my work, my family, my plans. And I realized how long it had been since anyone had asked without judgment, without expectation. I told him things I hadn't told anyone. About the job I hated. About the relationship I ruined. About the version of myself I kept running from. He listened. Really listened. Not the way people pretend to while thinking of their next reply, but the way someone listens when they've lost things, too. After a long pause, he said quietly, you know, people talk about moving on, but sometimes, you don't move on. You just move with it. He looked out the window again. The pain, the love, the regret, they don't disappear. They just become part of the scenery. I looked outside too, and suddenly, even the rain looked softer. As we neared Brighton, he folded his newspaper again and stood up. I'm getting off here, he said. You take care of yourself. I smiled. Thanks for the talk. He nodded, tipping his hat. Remember, sometimes the trains we almost miss are the ones we were meant to catch. He stepped out, disappearing into the sea of umbrellas. I watched him go until he was gone. When I finally turned back, I saw something on the seat beside me. A folded paper. It was the front page of his newspaper, and on it, a small note, handwritten in blue ink. For my wife. For the mornings she still rides with me. I held it for a while. The ink had smudged from the rain. but the words stayed clear. I never saw him again. But since that day, every time I take the train, I look for someone like him. Someone who might just need a quiet seatmate. A stranger to listen for a while. That day taught me something I didn't expect. We think we're in control of time, of plans, of endings. But maybe life is just a series of trains. And the most beautiful ones are the ones we almost miss. Sometimes, I still wonder if I had been a few seconds later, if the doors had closed in my face, would I have still found that kind of peace? Maybe not. Maybe that's why I made it. So, if you're watching this, and you're late, tired, or feel like you've missed too much, remember this: some trains come only once, and they wait just long enough for you to get on. If this story found you today, maybe it was meant to. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. And don't forget, some stories are just beginning.